Welcome back to the Chicago Sports Network. I'm Reichley Ruby, and today we will be doing our Bears mock draft. After free agency to a degree, and you should expect a couple more of these before the NFL draft itself, with any additional Bears signings outside of the current ones being Equanimeous St. Brown, Byron Pringle, Justin Jones, the letting go of Larry Ogunjobi, and I think that's it, or Lucas Patrick also. So this is all based on that. If anything happens after that, I will make another mock draft if it affects anything at all. So watch out for that. Make sure that you are looking out for all of the videos. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. I'll be putting out a bunch of new content, baseball content, NFL content, all sorts of that. Like this video if you enjoy it. Comment all your thoughts and opinions down below, as always. And let's get into today's video. But before we start, one quick thing. Make sure you go check out the podcast. The link is in the description, whether you listen to Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever, Anchor. Because I will be putting out a bunch of more content on there, including some exclusive podcast content that is only on the podcast channel. So, on to this. This is after the Khalil Mack trade, which means you have an extra second round pick number 48. So, with pick number 39, and this is the Bears' own pick, I have the Bears selecting Roger McCreary, the cornerback out of Auburn. I think that this is a really, really solid player that has a lot of potential, not only as a cornerback, but also as someone that could help a defense that just needs one more piece, I feel like, here, especially with you not being able to sign Larry Ogunjobi. I don't know how strong that front end is going to be. Unfortunately, there weren't any defensive linemen available at this point. The only defensive lineman that I would draft at this position would be Trayvon Walker, Jordan Davis, DeMar Leal, Perion Winfrey, and and then the other Georgia guy. Whatever the other Georgia guy's name is. I'm sorry that I forget it. So one of those five guys, all five of them were gone, so I'm not going to pick them up, even though that would be the biggest position of need, and if you're going to go there, so I have them picking up that. So on to the next pick at pick 48, I have the Bears selecting Christian Watson, and this is one of my favorite picks right here. Christian Watson is a guy shooting up boards, and to be honest, he's probably going to be a first-round pick by the end of it, but I think right now he's an early second-round pick, and this is kind of where the pick is at, so I picked him up. I try to make everything a little bit realistic, so if a draft simulator is just completely off, I don't try to pick the player. So there's that. I think that Christian Watson, he has the body. He's 6'4", 215, has a good 40 time. I think it's a 4.4. Around there, has played well at the Combine, played well at the Senior Bowl, and has really started to build up some hype from going from like a third-round, fourth-round guy to being a second-round pick and possibly even a first-round pick. So I think that this is the exact guy that you are looking for, especially with the signings of Byron Pringle and Darnell Mooney. You have two solid players, but now you kind of need the X receiver that you're looking for, because Darnell Mooney can play the Y, and Byron Pringle can play the slot, and you can have Equanimeous St. Brown as a backup, but you really need that dominant alpha male wide receiver, I feel like, and this is what Christian Watson is looking at, is this explosive player that he is. So on to pick number 71, I have them addressing another defensive need, but it may not be a defensive need anymore. But he was the best player available, so I just thought it may have been a good idea. But you did sign Nathan Morrow, the linebacker from the Raiders, on a 2-year deal. So I think that it's possible that this isn't the type of pick that the Bears go for. I have them picking up Chad Muma, the linebacker out of Wyoming, and part of the reason is because I think he could possibly sneak into the near the end of the first round, maybe, probably not. I know a couple people have had them in their mock drafts where he's in the first round. I think he's more of a mid to late second round guy, and now that I got him in the early third, I was pretty happy with the pick. And I think he has a lot of potential. I think he fills that Mike linebacker very well. And then you move Nathan Morrow. Maybe you move him to Sam linebacker, which is the other position, because you assume that Roquan Smith will play Will linebacker, even though there's been some discussion that he would play Sam. I think that the Mike position, or the middle linebacker position, is going to go. I really think that Chad Muma could be a starter immediately, and I think that's exactly what you do with this type of pick. At pick number 147, I have the Chicago Bears selecting J.T. Woods, the safety out of Baylor. So there is a lot of debate and a lot of topics, a lot of people talking about these Baylor, not as much debate, but a lot of talking about Baylor and how fast all of their guys ran. They were just speedsters, whether it's Tyquan Thornton or J.T. Woods, or pretty much everybody except for Jalen Petrie. Which he probably needs to get a new speed guy, whoever his speed guy is, because everybody else on Baylor did well. But this is the exact guy you're looking for, and let me explain this. I get that I just spent 3 out of my first 4 picks on defense, and it's 4 out of my first 5. I'll just give a hint. But I think that there aren't as many issues with the offense as people tend to believe. And here's the other big thing. Here's the big thing. There isn't a lot of good offensive linemen in this draft class outside of the tackles. And I didn't really want to pick up a tackle as much, because if you can pick up Teron Armstead, that is exactly what I'm looking for. Is you put Tevin Jenkins at right guard, put Larry Borom at right tackle, put Teron Armstead at left, put Cody Whitehair at either center or left guard, depending on where you want to put Lucas Patrick. You can interchange them however, whoever works better. Just put the best 5 out there. So I think that works really well. So if the Bears do not pick up a tackle the rest of the way, and they don't pick up a guard or anything else, I would have them picking up an offensive lineman, no matter how desperate the situation is. But in the 3rd round, part of the reason why I picked up Muma and not an offensive player was because the guy that I would have drafted, Alex Lindstrom, the Boston College center, was gone, and he is who I would have been looking for at that position, was Lindstrom particularly. At pick 149, 2 picks later, I have the Chicago Bears selecting Thomas Booker, the defensive lineman out of Stanford. The reason why I picked Booker was because he is a very high IQ player, and he plays a lot more of a 3-tech position than a guy like Kairos Tonga, who is a lot more of a 1-tech nose tackle type of player, rather than a 3-tech defensive tackle in a 4-3 scheme, rather than a 3-4 scheme where he's a nose tackle. So I think that fits a lot more with what the Bears are trying to run. And I think that it's kind of a value pick for a guy that's a high IQ guy, went to Stanford, which is a great university in the academic sense, and I think can really use that to employ a pretty solid player, and that's what I think I'm looking for in these later rounds, especially in like the 5th round, stuff like that. So with the final pick, I have, and I am incredibly sorry to this person because I'm probably going to butcher your name, but Chidi Ozuma Okongwu, again, I probably butchered it, the tight end out of Maryland. So the reason why I picked him is he is just an athletic freak. He ran a 4.46, I think it was, at the combine, and just flashed in all of the drills and stuff like that, the broad jump, the vertical, stuff like that. He just looked really, really good, and I think with all of that additional athletic ability at that tight end position, which is exactly what Cole Kmet's not. Cole Kmet is an inline tight end, and knowing the type of stuff that Ryan Poles wants to do, if he wants to go for the more explosive guy, that's not Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is a solid tight end, but he's a Kyle Rudolph, not a Travis Kelce. He's not a George Kittle. He's not that. He's a solid tight end, but he's not a dynamic one. And I think that's what you can get in Okongwu, is a guy that's just an athletic freak. So that's what I'm really looking for there, is you have a guy that's an athletic freak and maybe could turn into a player, but it's also not a position where he needs to be a starter day one, no matter what. No, he can play the backup role and just kind of follow Cole Kmet. He can even play the third string role if you want to put J.P. Holtz or whoever there. Or I don't know how many tight ends, because at this point I'm very confused on who's tight ends for the Bears and who's not. But either way, that pretty much wraps up today's video. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Like this video if you enjoy it. And as always, have a great day. Bye.